As many of you guys know, I'm doing Airbnb out of my primary residency, and I actually want to talk about the top 5 things that I've learned while doing Airbnb for about a month now. And so, if you guys are interested, make sure to stick around. What's up, everyone? I hope you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Serge. Welcome to the channel. To all my recurring viewers, guys, thank you so much for all the love and support that you guys have shown this channel. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this video. Now, the first thing I've learned about actually doing Airbnb right off the bat, guys, is actually getting a Nest lock or some type of lock that you guys can actually automate from your phone and actually change the access codes for your guests and for anybody in the future. You guys can access these codes fairly easily, and you guys can remove these access codes. You guys can, do different things of that sort when it comes to actually checking in your guests. Guys, it's so much easier to actually do that. So I highly recommend that you guys start out with installing a Nest lock. I know it's not cheap. It's about 200 and something dollars to get a Nest lock. But guys, I'm telling you, it's going to be worth it in the long run. You guys aren't going to have to be dealing with any kind of keys or keys missing, people locking themselves out, etc. Guys, this is such a seamless process when it comes to checking in your guests. I would say that's the very first thing I've learned about doing Airbnb is making sure that you guys have an easy check-in process and an easy checkout process, because guys, guests will contact you guys about, different things going on when it comes to actually getting into the house. A lot of people still use, the old-fashioned keys. I would say definitely invest into a lock that you guys can just access from your app. It's really cool because you guys can actually, open the lock literally from your phone. You just hold down a button and it unlocks the lock for them if you wanted to do that. Or you could set up an access code for a specific time frame that a guest is staying there, and then it expires after they leave. So you don't have to worry about that, and that's what I do. So you can create over 100 and something access codes. So you can easily set up access codes for the near future. Like if you get future bookings, you can definitely set up an access code, and it's so easy, and I just absolutely love it. And the way I do it is that I set it up with the last 4 digits of their phone number that they have on their profile, so that way they don't forget their access code and have to message you and ask you what their access code was again. It's usually, I just put it as their last 4 digits. On the Nest lock though, it does not let you, if they're, let's say their last 4 digits are four of the same number. So let's say 3333. You can't, it won't let you, because people can easily guess that. Like let's say, someone's trying to rob your house, they can easily guess that code. So it won't allow you to do four of the same number. So, if someone has a phone number, just change that last number to something, whatever you can come up with, just change it and let the guests know. But guys, that would be the first thing that I've learned about doing Airbnb, is having an easy check-in process. The second thing that I would say that I learned about doing Airbnb, and this was kind of a mistake on my part, was actually getting bunk beds. Bunk beds are actually a lot harder to change linens than I anticipated. I probably should have gotten twin and full size beds that have the beds that go under the bed, if that makes sense. So I think if I would have gone back and gotten, I think for future listings, I'll definitely do those types of beds. I wouldn't do bunk beds again, because changing the linens on those bunk beds is really a pain, and getting them off, etc. Bunk beds normally are kind of like a higher liability, I would say, than just like a normal bed. People can hurt themselves. You can get caught up in between the railings of the bunk beds, etc. So I think bunk beds was really not the best, approach to getting more beds. I think I would have just probably changed. I could change those bunk beds out eventually, but with that being said, guys, I would say do not get bunk beds for any of your listings. They're really not the easiest things to deal with. So definitely don't get bunk beds. Try to get those single beds that have the beds under them they can pull out. The third thing that I've learned is that you guys need to have like a set schedule of how you guys are going to clean the house, whether it's you guys doing it or someone else. Have like a set routine of where you're going to start and what you're going to do. So like the way I like to do it is by actually starting with the linens first, because the linens take a little bit to wash and dry. So I make sure to start doing the linens first. So I'll strip all the beds and do all the linens first, throw them in the washer, separately, so that way I can know which one's going to which bed. because they're all just simple white sheets. So if you do all the bed sheets together, you might mix up like the king size bed with the queen size bed linens, and sometimes it's kind of hard unless once you. So I do them all separately, but regardless, I start with the linens. While the linens are getting washed, I'll then go in the kitchen, start in the kitchen, start cleaning up the kitchen, and then start in the living room, etc. So I'll do that routine, and then while everything is getting dried and washed, that's what I do, and then I vacuum, sweep the floors, mop the floors, and then I start in the bathrooms after I do that, and then refill all the soap dispensers, everything that I need to do regarding everything in the bathroom. That's where I start, and then I vacuum, and then while I'm doing all that, linens are literally the last part of the entire cleaning process. The best thing you guys can do when it comes to the linens is actually having two sets for everything. That way, when you guys actually, you guys can just change them out easily and then wash the ones that are dirty and then get those put back in the closet and have them ready for next time or for the next guest. You build an easy routine that way. So I would say the third thing that I've learned is having a cleaning routine if you end up cleaning it yourself. If you hire cleaners, I would say ask them what their routine is, and make sure that they get it done within the time frame that they have open to get everything cleaned up for the next guest. You don't want any delays for the guests to come check in. So the way I have it set up is I have checkout time at 11 a.m. and then check-in time at 4 p.m. So anytime after that, they can check in at 4 p.m. and after. So it's kind of building that routine is really important, and making sure that you guys can get cleaners there if you hire them or whether you do it yourself. So sometimes guests will check out earlier than 11 a.m. I've had that situation before. So usually what I'll do is like the day of or the night before, I'll message them and say, hey, could you guys let us know when you guys check out? That way, if they check out at like 9 a.m., you have 2 extra hours there that you guys can start cleaning, and you can get it done a lot quicker and then go on about your day. So that's how I usually do it with the cleaning aspect, and that what I've learned to do is just having a cleaning routine. The fourth thing that I've learned about doing this whole Airbnb thing is you some people can agree to this, some people can attest to this. It's okay to have your own opinion about it, but my opinion and my experience as of right now is I did start out with doing one night minimums, and that wasn't bad because I did get those like instant bookings, people wanting to stay last minute. But what I've noticed is that with the last minute bookings, like the one night stays, is always the ones who want to either throw a party or, they're the ones that usually mess up the house more, is the people that want to stay for one night for some weird reason. That's been my experience with all the one-nighters that I've had. For a majority of them, it's just been it's been local people. That's also what I've noticed, is that it's local people that live here in Phoenix that book it for one night because they want to throw a party or have a huge get together and end up doing more mess in the home. And then you have that strain of constantly having to clean, right? You do collect those cleaning fees a lot more. You do get to keep that 100% of it, unless you're paying a cleaner. You don't keep 100% of it. But if you do the cleaning yourself, you do get to keep 100% of it. But regardless, guys, it's a tedious thing to just constantly, like every day, do the cleaning. So I think for me personally now, I've switched to 2 night minimums. And as you gain those reviews, and that was the one thing, as you gain those reviews, you could eventually switch over to the minimum of 2 nights. Until you get those reviews, I would say start out with 1 nights, and then once you gain at least 5 or more reviews right off the bat, you can then probably switch over to the 2 night minimums. So that's been my experience, and that's what I've learned with doing this whole Airbnb thing so far. Now, the fifth thing I would say is going back into the calendar and actually adjusting the prices, actually going in there and then going incognito and looking on the map to see what your home pops up as, like with the pricing on the map of Airbnb, and constantly checking that, because I had an incident with Airbnb where my pricing was set pretty low. It was where all my competitors were, but it was showing almost like triple the price of what I had it set for, and that really hurt the booking aspect, because people would see my pricing and they would I looked at my analytics and it showed that nobody was really looking. And so it really hurt the fact that my pricing was so high when in reality it wasn't really that high on the calendar. So I had to message Airbnb, and they were kind of a pain to deal with on this. Their customer service isn't the greatest, but then again, they did get it fixed and they did get it done. And then what I noticed is that when mine was actually set at the price that I had for that week, all my other competitors were way higher, because I'm sure they probably didn't realize that that was happening either. And they just thought that their pricing was going to show what they had for that week. And so it was probably hurting their business too, and they were probably wondering why they weren't getting booked, and they were probably thinking, oh, it's summertime, it's slow. But in reality, it's because of that. On the back end of Airbnb, they might have had like some kind of mishap, or something might have happened to where it just was a glitch and people just didn't know and didn't reach out to Airbnb. Guys, just make sure that you go and check the pricing on the map and go incognito. Don't go from like preview your listing from your hosting backend part. Actually go incognito and look to see what your home is showing up as when it comes to the pricing. If you guys enjoyed this video and you guys love the tips and the top 5 things that I've learned, make sure to hit that like button. Also, make sure to smash that subscribe button, guys. And if you haven't yet, go watch all these other videos, and I will see you guys all in the next video. God bless. Peace.